Sagoli Swagwake, Lasagalaslant Ningets, Wageskle Wage, Niwagiti Aloda, Okale Onionteaga, Niwadu Hunjoda. Hi everyone, my name is Byran Halona, and I am Bear Clan of the Oneida Nation. I am one of the 3 hosts for the Radiant Voices podcast, and I'm super excited to start this journey. My ultimate goal for this podcast is really to connect with people all across the United States and Turtle Island and give Indigenous people a platform where they can listen to and also speak to different homes, communities, and different nations.
Hey everyone, my name is Dahlia. I'm really excited to be here with you guys on this journey. I'm 30 years old. I am from the Wolf Clan of Winnebago, Tribe of Nebraska, and the Menominee Nation. And I'm really excited to be on this podcast with my other 2 members and talk about our experiences and our journey.
Saguli Swagwake, Yene de Genyas Nyungets, Waganyata ni Wakitaloda. Hello everyone, my name is Sue Ryder, and my Indian name is Yene de Genyas, which means she changes the water. I am also Turtle Clan and from the Oneida Nation in Wisconsin. I'm super excited about this podcast because I think that it brings some wellness and voices from you, the listener, and I think that it's another way of creating that healing and hearing our voices is not just our voices, like with my co-people here, your voices, and so to me is why is so important to hear yous and to expand on that. And that's what that dialogue is so big for me, that it just creates that deep healing. And that's what I believe. So y'all go, and I just want to welcome everybody to our podcast.
But yeah, especially on COVID, because COVID attacks you from all different fronts. And it's like, it attacks you physically, mentally, spiritually, and it slowly breaks you down. And it's like, for everyone, it's so different. Because, like, some people are very fearful, but they don't have the actual, like, physical thing. I can hear myself a little bit. They don't have the actual physical, like, the virus at that time. But mentally, they're not going outside. They're not getting the sun. They're not getting ample amounts of sleep. They're stressing out. So that's wearing on them. And then some people spiritually, I mean, you're not able to do, like, I was just thinking about, like, when I was driving just down to practice, I was listening to some social dances. I was just like, I 100% miss this. I haven't been to ceremonies all year. Yep. I haven't gone to a single social dance. I have to listen to song recordings. I've only heard a couple people sing, like, live, like, 3 or 4 times. And, like, even that, like, I felt like my body was just rejuvenated after that. And I was, like, happy. I was bouncing up and down. And then, like, after, like, a day or 2, and I'm just like, when am I going to hear that again?
Yep.
Right.
And that's, like, really sad. And it's just, like, that's just what COVID was doing to, like, our people. Like, even if you look back, like, to, like, smallpox. Like, now we can kind of see what our ancestors had to go through.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little.
What a way to break.
A little.
Yeah.
Right.
And, like, we're getting a very snippet.
Broken.
Yeah, a very small snippet of that.
Yeah. And I think that's what a part of COVID helped me to see, too, because I really believe our stories and the stories that I hear from other people, even if they're not from our own tribe, from other places, too, because I listen to things, too. And then I think when I really think about those things, I'm like, I can't even, like, imagine how strong and resilient
our people
were, like, unreal. Because I'm like little wussy. Just kidding.
We get a little drop of this, and then you think of, like, Trail of Tears, or people just really going through it, and you're like, whoa, like, you try to imagine it, and now when you have a little bit of shutdown and you're isolated and whatnot, now you're like, whoa, you can kind of get it, like I said, a small sample, but yeah, it just shows how much resilience we have to be able to have.
I mean, because, you think about, like, the devastation that we were put through. Our families were torn apart. We couldn't even see our families anymore. And that's kind of, to some degree, a little bit how it's happening now.
Yeah.
And that's really, really difficult.
Yep.
I mean, I think about, like, I made a, to make sure that my children and my grandchildren and my family knew that if one of us get COVID or something happens, we're not dying alone.
Be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's not going to happen, because I just can't even fathom that.
Yep.
And so
I even saw somebody had a post on Facebook, and they were just like, they're taking pretty, the very strict, more strict precautions. And she was just like, to be a grandparent and see your grandbabies every single day, and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, and I haven't seen them. I've only FaceTimed them, and, this and that. She's like, that takes a big toll, and I was just thinking, not everybody's living it to that extent or whatever. They're trying to keep their close family, but some people aren't. Some people are really scared, like you said, so they're not even gonna, if I'm not at the grocery store, I'm not going anywhere, sorry kids even, or grandkids, and I was just
Right.
like, yeah, that would kill my mom, because I'm still around. I bring my kids around my mom still, and you have your grandkids I see as well. And but yeah, like if we would take that measure as well, and my mom didn't see them, my mom would be the type that would break her spirit faster than anything, is to not see the grandbabies for a long period of time like that. She's a crybaby when they go by their dads, even for like their 2-day time or whatever they go. She's always like, I miss them, and I haven't seen them for 3 days now, or and I'm like, right. Yeah, can definitely take a toll on you.
Yeah, yeah, because I think about the strong connections and roles that we have with each other and each other's family, and that's what we have to lift each other up every day.
Yeah,
and that's how we, that's how we learn.
Yeah,
that's our everything. So it's like, I think about that stuff, and I think like we are still recovering from our history, and this is an eye-opener for me.
Yeah,
as to what we really went through. And like I never had a grandparent around me. I don't even know what it was like to have a grandparent, because I've never met either one of them weren't living. And so that's just that's the generation, because like my father's parents had passed away when they were like 13 or 14 through, I believe it was TB. And so he didn't have that either. And so it's just,
kept going.
So it's like, for me, I recognize those things, and I hear other families having their grandparents and all those things, which is good, but I didn't even know how to be around elders. So they kind of scared me, actually. And so until just recently, probably like within the last 6 years. And so, but I knew that I like made a solemn swear to myself that my children, and I want to live to be, in my 80s, 90s, and I want to,
let's say hundreds.
Okay, yeah. Hundreds then. But and I want that experience. I want our family to have that experience, and I think that's important, because when I look at elders, I feel like they have so much like threads. I don't know how to say it, like how to explain it. There's so many layers of just even their silence and their being there. You can feel, I can feel it. And so those things are important to understand our roles and the matriarchal roles, and things like that, and that we learn that respect. And so I didn't have any of that. So I know for myself firsthand, I guess, what I want, and the changes,
and even what kind of grandparent you want to be,
like the kind of grandparent I want to be, and I still strive for that, because so it's like the COVID has brought a lot of awarenesses. It kind of kind of humbling, I guess, in a sense. It humbles me, and so I like that you said on every level. And so to me, it's like it's so much and not that I enjoy it, but yet I'm still knowing that I'm still benefiting from it. So like, really,
you got to find that silver lining.
Looking at the good things from it, and that's what I try to strive for. Is like, it might not feel good at the moment. I'm having a breakdown. I'm like, this sucks, or I feel so alone.
Right.
But at the same time, I know that that there's something good coming from it, and that's what keeps me holding on, or that's what helps me through it. It's because I know that there's another side to this. There's always those two sides.
Exactly.
Always. And so
would you feel like that is one of your biggest gains of 2020? Is that awareness, that humbleness, or through COVID, I guess, even?
Yeah, I would say that for me, personally, from my own perspective. And I think just talking about it helps me realize that even more so. Because I don't
makes
have a
that
lot
realization
of time to reflect.
More.
So I think that's what, that's why I think these things are awesome, is to reflect and take that time to understand who you are.
Exactly.
And that self-awareness, I mean, I'm not no near perfect, but I like figuring these things out, because I know it's for the better for my kids or my grandkids or the community or for each other,
right,
or for myself,
for the greater good eventually. You know, that's what it is, the bigger picture at the end of the day.
Right. So, but I do like the different perspectives of it, of everything, and just talking about it and figuring things out. It always brings us to some kind of
union. I feel unity.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter the actual detail of the experience, but the underlying issue of what you overcame or how you felt better about something is like, hey, I went through this and I felt, I got to that as well, and
Right.
I think that's what's the best about discussing things with everybody, seeing that growth and how your little journey took you to get to that, and this is how my journey took me to get to the same thing. You know what I mean? I love that. I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
'Cause it's just, there's 1 billion of us, there's 7 billion of us here, and nobody has the same journey. So for everybody to be able to get to the same bottom issue of whatever we're learning, I think it's just so intriguing.
Yeah, having that greater perspective. And
Because that's what I feel like with everybody. I saw another post on Facebook and they were just like, can 2020 just be over and blah, blah, blah. And, I'm just thinking like, yeah, I hear you. Like, what an exhausting year. And then I just kind of really start thinking about it. And I'm like, this was probably like my best year of my life, honestly. You know what I mean? I'm like, as spiritually, as a woman, as a mother, as just a human out here trying to be the best version of myself during all this craziness. Like, I'm the strongest and the most like standing in my own power I've ever been in my life. And it took everything that I've learned during COVID, because if COVID wasn't on lockdown, some of these things wouldn't have happened,
really
and I'm
stretches
just like,
you to your best capability.
Yeah, and you're just like, man, I just look back on February and where I was as a person and what my goals were, and none of that is even in my picture and my perspective anymore. It's all like, it just gone like it was never, and those were the main things in my life, and everything was shattered and destroyed, and what was created from that was so much more than I could have even fathomed, and I'm just like, this is amazing. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how it just like it opened up our eyes to a lot of the problems that we had in our life that it like we didn't identify until COVID happened, and you're just like, I really don't need this, or I really need this in my life, like the necessities and the superficial stuff. Like, and then you start realizing you're just like, wow, I really need to cook from home a lot more. I need to go get groceries, or if I need to find a better food source,
I need a new hobby.
And it's like you said, there's a lot of negatives and there's a lot of positives that happen from it. But one thing that I like when we think of like philosophies is like the 7-generation philosophy. That was huge for me, because I realized how big our tribe stepped up to help in supply for like everybody, like whether it was food boxes every Friday, giving out gift cards, doing clinics. And then when they're talking about the clinics, like the flu clinic, they said this was record-breaking number. Like they had more people come on the first day than they did like all 7 clinics the previous year.
Wow.
Yeah, and it just shows how people are starting to use the tribe's resources more, and how a lot of these jobs are like really trying to step it up to the plate to like help their people and help their community.
Right. Because I think I mean, we always have room for improvement. That's a given. And at any time of your life, anytime you start your career, there's always that time for improvement. But I always feel like, I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just in my own bubble sometimes, but I think like I'm just really super grateful for for what people are doing. And I really truly believe people are doing the best they can.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough for our leaders. It's tough for every single person. It's just like, I don't think there's no one exempt from that.
Yeah.
So I try to, I keep that in my heart.
Right.
Actually.
I think that, I think that it brought a little more gratitude out of people, because I know, like, okay, even just thinking of like, let's say unemployment, like people, I'm calling on this end because I've been on the phone all day for 4 hours waiting for you. And that's when people kind of take it personally, where like, if you're on the other line, like I've been trying to get a hold of you all day, and this lady has been taking calls all day and she's doing the best she can. And do you think she wants to get yelled at and, first thing on the phone from people? And then you just kind of realize like, she's still a person too who's struggling, and who knows if she has to be on the phone after, or you know what I mean? And so even with the tribe, like I saw a few posts again where people were overwhelmed, or like people were like, man, prayers and a lot of gratitude to the food pantry and all the workers or whatever. You can't tell me that didn't get overwhelming for them, or anybody who's like providing any assistance, you know what I mean, is able to gosh, I just can't to be in any of these fields right now, to be the nurse, to be the doctor, to be on the unemployment line, like I said, like they're still normal. They're still like us just because they're providing that for you. Like that doesn't take them away from, they have family troubles and, whatever they're going on, and they're still battling the same virus we are,
Right.
And so you're just like, gosh, like you have a whole day, but thankfully you're here because you just helped me and my family or the rest of the tribe, and you're just like a lot of gratitude to see, it's not that easy.
No. I can, even just you talking about it, I can imagine like the weight on someone's shoulders. Because they have a life too.
Yeah. There's still people at the end of the day. Like, I think we kind of get that out of our head where we're like, no, you're supposed to help me and you're supposed to know the answer and you're supposed to be able to do this fast for me. And they're just like, hey, I'm, just as normal as you are, and I just have.
And then it empowers people too to know that they can make it through things as well. And so, I mean, there's like so many ways to look at something.
Yeah.
And there's so many perspectives. But I think that if we try to see the best possible,
outcome.
out of the outcome or vision out of situations, that we can breathe, through that. And so, and it's not, I'm not saying in any way that it's easy for everybody. And we all have our, moments. I mean, including myself through this whole thing, it has given me so much opportunities to grow. Like I was just talking before earlier is about, my biggest flaw is asking for help, and we were just talking about that, about a half hour ago or so, but that's my biggest thing. That's always comes back to haunt me. I swear. If I have to learn anything, it's always that.
Right.
And, COVID's going to bring up your dirt.
Yeah.
It has.
Nobody is exempt here. Ain't no tax exempt over here, baby.
Right. Exactly. And so that's always my, just keep going, keep going, and I'm okay, or even convincing myself that I'm okay. So
because I feel like that there's a fine line when you're manifesting and when you're trying to stay positive, that that kind of can hinder me as well, because I have a really hard time asking for help as well. If I keep saying I'm good, I don't need the help, I can get through this, then I'm trying to create that reality, right? I can get through this, I don't need help, I'll be fine, I'm not as bad as maybe I really am, but then I'm also like either blocking that, whatever that is, because I need to be like, hey, just take a little pause and you might need a little help, here's a little nudge on the go ahead and ask for help. But I get confused with that, because I don't want to be like, oh, I had the worst day ever and I don't know what to do, or I need help, or you know what I mean? Like, I'm never going to get through this. But I just get confused in that little gray area of like manifesting. It's going to be fine. I'm going to be okay. And then you're like, and then the universe happily humbles you and you're like, and then you do go ask for help that day because you're on your hands and knees surrendering. And then you're like, okay, this is an easy one. I'll ask for help in another month. I'll come for my monthly cleaning. And nope, 6 months later when I'm on my hands and knees here, I'm calling Sue. Like, Sue, save me. And I could have saved myself 5 months of trouble prior to that, but.
Yeah, and I think Byran had brought up something else before, like where did we pick up those things? How we're, to me, like a question would be, how did I get rooted with that belief?
Yeah.
Or where are the roots of that belief? And just when you were talking, I was thinking about, I was taught that to be respectful is to let other people go first. I'm always, no, let them go first. Or it's always like taught that way. So I'm like, oh, okay. So, so I was
unintentionally.
raised, I was raised to serve, to be of a service. And so a servant, and so to speak. And so it's like, I'll put myself on the back burner.
Yeah, I was going to say, unintentionally, all of a sudden, you're picking up that trait of
so
putting
like
yourself.
Even being behind this microphone and not be, you don't have to see me, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, right. I'm really okay with that.
I'm still, it's kind of a symbol of behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And still making that impact.
Yeah.
Right? So that's my shyness. That's my thing, like, eeks, I don't want to be on that.
I don't want the attention.
I don't want the attention.
Yep.
So I don't need it.
Yeah.
But I want to be as powerful as having that backbone to support other people.
Right.
And so that's why this is more, I'm just like, I love this. So you don't have to see me, but I can still be that support as the best I can. And it just feels good. It feels, that way. So, but I learned that, and it maybe as a child, you might take those things out of the wrong context. It's like, well, we forgot about the part of, but take care of yourself too.
Yes. We've never been told
you're
that.
just as important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though you might have been, or I might have been, I still didn't, I felt like
it wasn't a priority still.
It wasn't a priority.
Yep.
No. It's just
I'll get to it,
Right. Yeah. So I think that was for me one of the roots that I was raised with is to, other people go first. Think about somebody else. Somebody else all the time. And,
right.
I think that's good. But I think there's always that balance
right.
that that I have to work at.
Yeah, but then even you saying it like that, that made me think that's also an unintentional way to condition us that the word selfish is a bad thing, because you're like, take care of everybody else. No, you've done it. And then you're like, well, can I take care of myself? And you're like, nah. You just think of the little attitude you'd get if you were like, hey, like, can I grab a plate first? Or, you know what I mean? Even something simple like that. But that made me think of, like, because I've had that same issue as well coming up on with myself. And I'm just like, yeah, how come it's so hard for us to put ourselves first where you're going to look like, without looking like a little snotty brat out here? You know what I mean? Like, in general, that's a very easy picture to have, and it's totally not that. But we just made the word selfish look like such a bad thing, and it's definitely not. It's definitely probably the most big and magical thing somebody can have, because if I'm selfish and I can love myself, I can take care of all you guys. You know what I mean? If I can stand in my own, I can't do it if I'm only 80%, you know what I mean? But it's just hard for us to, like, be okay with that, I feel like especially as mothers of anything, we take care of the whole house, we cook, we clean, like, we need to step away.
Right.
Let the men do it for once. No, just kidding. Don't turn it to that, please. No.
I was just going to say how selfish and self-care get lost in translation.
Yeah.
And a lot of times where it's just like people assume that doing self-care is like being selfish for yourself. It's just like, well, why are you getting this? Why are you doing this for yourself when you could be doing this for others? And it's like, well, you got to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. And that's huge. And a lot of people kind of miss that point sometimes. And then eventually, like you said, when you get to that point where you're weathered down and you're on your hands and knees, you're like, I need help. And it's just like, well, you need to help yourself first.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's like, exactly what you need.
Right. You do.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You do know what you need. We just don't listen to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Because we think we're selfish.
Right. I don't want to be selfish. Jesus.
I can't listen to myself and know what's good for me. Yeah. Because I mean, closest people to me will say, and they do. I have that support.
Yeah.
And they say, make sure you
those
take care
reminders.
of yourself. Sue, go do this. Sue, go do that. I'm hoping that you know that, right? I would take it that you would know that, that to do that. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Got it.
You're like, wait, are you telling me to be selfish?
Yeah. So
text myself, be selfish. Reminder. Were you selfish today? I need like a daily alarm that asks me that.
Yeah. So yeah. I was just thinking about you, Byran, with the I don't want to ask your age, but I know that you probably have a whole different perspective about all that, and maybe not have had to have that experience of going through that about yourself. And when I think of you, I think about like the teams that you were in. Like, I automatically think, well, it's never just me; it's always us. It's always been a we, because that's your generation, right?
Yeah. The we is huge because I was born and raised in like I would say like a sports type setting, really close knit family. So the we was always like, we are strong as our weakest link. And a lot of my coaches, like when they drove like that point, was just like, one single person can be great, but for the team to be great, we all have to be great.
Yeah.
And that was like, it always stuck with me because it's like, too. And like, because
just a simple little sentence,
Yeah, and it really made sense because when you're doing a play or you're doing an operation or you're doing a job, it only takes one person to really, like, I wouldn't want to say like mess up, but disarray or like slow down or not be able to complete it to the best of the 100% to their abilities, and for me, since that philosophy really stuck with me, And so whenever I'm coaching a team or I'm like working in a group setting or a team setting, like I'm always like, we all have to be on the same page. We all have to not necessarily follow these strict rules and guidelines, but we all have to know the general idea of which direction we're going, what our goal is, and what we all bring to the table to achieve that. And so we're not super restricting on each other, but we can hold each other accountable, and we can also boost each other to get the job done.
And that's also like you said about being accountable, that's also being like self-aware of, I might not be as strong in that little area, and then kind of stepping away or letting your ego be like, that's where you're stronger at, so I expect you to either help coach me or carry me, or you know what I mean, and I'll help when you're not in your weakest area. And that's sometimes hard as well, you know what I mean? I don't want to say I suck at this category, help me out, but here we are with asking for help again. Well, that's what you have to do though, especially as a team, because your weakest link is going to show up if you try to lie and be like, oh, I got this, I'll figure it out, or that's not my weakest point, definitely not. And then you'd show up and boom, there's the team, there's that weak link.
Yeah. I just sit here thinking about, all three of us and how much I appreciate what we all have to bring to the table and offer. Yeah. It's like, you don't, and that kind of just goes to show you that age don't really mean nothing either, because like, me and Dahlia would be goofing off, right? And Byron would be like,
you wouldn't guess
guys,
that we're the older ones.
Okay, we've got to work now. And it's not even like it's just that simple energy it was more encouraging than, and it was so simple, and it's like we're a team. It's just that just comes right through you,
right?
That's what I see, anyways. I'm like, it's like, oh, I just love that, and so it's so nice to have that. That confidence and that perspective, and coming from a different era and hearing that, and I can really,
and a male version as well. And like that's what I like. A young male we have with us who has all that, and then we have like just like even what you said with age is just a number. Like you would never guess. I think if you hear our voices before you see anything about us, you'd probably think that Byron's like the older one. You know what I mean? And as we have more shows, right?
He's more mature than us.
All of a sudden.
The old soul.
Right, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he's definitely made a few trips here before us, so.
Yeah. I appreciate all that, though. I love listening to, everybody here, to you too as well. It's always good to relate that. Like, I think there's like a, if we take the chronological age, but the difference between us and me and Dahlia are always it seems like on the same page, and I don't know.
I don't know why. There's a weird connection there.
It's really,
it weirds me out, honestly.
Yeah, it does. It does. But I like it. It feels good, that connection, to have that. So, and that like even these conversations like this, it's just so amazing to me. Yeah. Because how many other people feel that way and can feel validated,
right? Exactly.
How they feel.
The reassurance.
Yeah. I mean, I love being validated. Like, oh, I'm not the only one. Like,
I love being valid.
I love and validity.
Right.
We're having valid cake today.
Right.
Valid cake.
It's my favorite.
A little whipped cream in it.
Right. A little sip of reassurance to take it all down. Yeah. Then it just helps people like, I'm really not crazy, or, something just simple where you're just things become so, I don't like the word coincidence because I don't believe in that, but just so, it becomes ironic where you're like, I'm not even going to say it. Even how you and I, when you're like, oh, this is how I felt the other day. And I'm like, I didn't even have to text you that because I know, I felt the same exact way. Sometimes I don't need the reassurance because I get weirded out. I'm like, it's just get out of my head. How are you?
Right.
That's how, I'm like, it's just
get off my wavelength.
Yeah, right. Find your own frequency, bro.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see.
So this is our first
podcast for everybody. And it's really exciting. Everything feels so good. We didn't have any topics at hand. We didn't have anything planned. We just came here, plugged in, and
as much as I wanted to.
Yeah. Sue the planner. She sat here all weekend twiddling her thumbs because we had to reschedule, and here we are. Not following any schedule, so.
Yeah, we're super excited because our goal is to really get information out there, listen to guests, to have awesome conversations. Like, we're already having an awesome conversation right now. So we're super excited to get some more people on the podcast. Really just drive home that like, Indigenous voices, because there's so many of us out there that we all have a story. Everyone has something to share. Everyone has lessons, and it's amazing. And you could see Indigenous podcasts popping up all over the United States and different tribes, different regions. It's awesome. It's amazing.
It is. I watched one today. I have to see what it was called. I forgot. I just tuned in real quick. It was actually, I didn't even know how I was following it or whatever, but I meant to scroll, and sometimes if you click, and it popped up the live, and then all of a sudden it was like a little native podcast or whatever, and then I was like, what the heck? But my phone was going to die all day, so I had to X out and save my life, but I don't know what it was, but it was just really cool to see that, I think it's so cool just to see our people out here using our voices. One of the main things that was taken from us right away, like no identity, and your voice is your identity, that's what it is. So it's cool to see us getting back to it and using it on such a big platform.
Yeah, and another awesome thing is all the Indigenous artists too.
Yes.
All their artwork all over Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
And I know one of my girlfriend's goals was to be able to buy a gift for everyone from an Indigenous artist.
Cool.
Yeah,
what a fun idea.
Yeah, it was an awesome idea and awesome. I was just like, that's amazing. And then like we're going through different like pages, and she's already gotten numerous earrings. So does my mom.
Yeah.
And like these things are amazing. They're awesome. Like the amount of time and effort just put into like, and the creativity behind them, like beaded earrings or quill work earrings or like even like silver earrings. It's crazy. It's amazing.
Yes, I love earrings.
And it's like, thank God for social media. Right. Am I on that list for a gift? Or is she listening right now? Or I forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry.
I remember. But yeah, other than that, even speaking of gifts and the holidays coming up, I'm as well. That's how it's cool that you even said that, because that helps me, because I was only going to try to do small business, stay out of the big stores, and I'm not going to get all commercial. I just want to do something super low key and just super all the small businesses. And I only in my head real quick thought about it like locally or people that I know, and but that helps me as well, because obviously I'd love to do that and help our people and
I've been
small
doing the
businesses.
same thing.
Yeah, that's
been
cool.
Searching, been watching, looking.
I'm like, I refuse to step in a store this year. I'm not going to go to, not stepping into Target. I'm not going to do it.
That's hard.
Unless it's my self-care day. Just kidding. Unless it's my self-care day, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, a lot of people like Target. I mean, even my granddaughter, my 7-year-old granddaughter, is like, Target. I love Target. I'm like, I'm not a big fan of Target. I'm not even a fan of really any store except for Costco.
Right. I like Costco. Costco over Sam's. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm a Costcoer for sure.
And I just go there, and then I just go there because you get save your money.
Yeah.
For
and I'm super like I'm a OCD freak where I love to buy in bulk. Like there's nothing more fulfilling for me as a mother and human being out here than to like open and just see like 17 billion rolls of toilet paper.
It sounds like we better get some ads going on here.
And if you look down at the receipt and it's like saving $67, you're just like, yes.
Suck on that. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, there's always extra. That's funny because actually this week I always have extra shampoo conditioner. I just open my thing and I grab it and I'm good. Like I don't ever have to worry about running out or forgetting. And I didn't have any backup toothpaste. And I had to use kids' toothpaste real quick for the day because I was like, I literally have no toothpaste. Like, and Greg took the other one. He spent the night at his dad's or my mom's or something. And so that little rat took the only full one I had. I'm like, really? Like, why would you take a toothpaste? Like, there's no toothpaste everywhere else. So I had to use the freaking kids' kind that Honey has, bubble gum, and I hate bubble gum. So I'm over here just like feeling gross. They probably didn't get cleaned, and had to go to the store and I bought like 23, like the 3 boxes. I bought like a bunch of them. I'm like, this is never going to happen again.
I'm never running out of toothpaste.
Never running out of toothpaste.
Take all the toothpaste you want.
Right. It was almost traumatic. I'm like, ugh, brushing my teeth. I feel disgusting.